the thing is, it like lead capturing comes in waves. So you're going to have a period of time where cold outreach is working really, really well, and then it's going to dip off. It's going to constantly do that. So the people who have as close as they possibly can to a steady stream of leads actually coming through are people who are capturing leads in different ways. So they're using lead magnets, they're using their funnels, they're mixing up and varying their lead magnets as well. They're doing cold outreach, they're fishing for interaction on their actual content as well, stories, posts, etc. Not just Instagram, but TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. So when people are trying to capture leads in many, many different ways, they're the people that win rather than people that just dedicate all of their time just on one thing. Because it might work, for example, Monday to Thursday, and then if their demographic is like out on the weekend, for example, okay, how are they then capturing leads? If that method only works Monday to Thursday, if that makes sense. So having that variance of what works and having the difference between different ways of actually capturing leads, just make sure that you're bulletproof. Because, for example, what if Instagram shut down tomorrow? Oh, I've got no leads coming through. Yeah, because you just relied on Instagram. It's like we had when Instagram actually shut down, for example, a couple of years ago, it actually shut down for 48 hours. We still had clients closing on Snapchat because they'd varied where they were capturing leads from. So it's really,
Snapchat
really
outreach.
it's so important that you just bulletproof yourself as to where you're getting business from rather than just one method.
Yeah, because I've been very guilty of just like hammering cold outreach, like just hammering it every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think like, how can I be smart about this and actually like vary the way I'm trying to get leads? Like you might notice I'm putting like my stories now are a bit more not controversial, but they're a bit more straightforward because I'm trying to create interaction. I'm trying to create people to come to me. But like I put a story out today about content being like the number one way to market yourself. I had a few people interact with me off that already. So I'm trying to find different ways to capture leads. Haven't actually tested lead magnets in a while either.
But that's it. That's why I put the so I put in the group that the Limitless Leads group, the story sticker tap strategy. It's just one. Like it doesn't mean that that's like the holy grail of capturing leads at that moment in time. It's just one method that is working right now. And anyone that's used it, I mean, how many leads have you two got out of that strategy?
I captured £1,500 just from using the sticker tap method, Josh. That was recommended by you.
There you go. There you go. But that doesn't mean that that's going to work tomorrow, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to get. It doesn't mean that you'll collect 1.5K Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You might have captured it then once, and then you might capture it again like later on. But this is the importance of varying how you're trying to capture leads online.
So if you were, let me ask you this then, if you were starting your online coaching from zero, right? And you wanted to scale it to 10K a month as quickly as you can, what would be your methodology about it? How would you go about getting leads, setting calls, closing sales from scratch?
Do the math there first. So figure out, okay, what demographic would actually get me there the fastest. So if this is pure just monetary and it's not about passion, purpose, like values, if it's just monetary, okay, how can I get 5 people to pay me 2K rather than 50 people to pay me £200? Like how can I do that? Because it's the same skill set. So I'd focus on higher ticket clients, like first and foremost, and then all of my content, my shop window, everything will be revolved around that higher ticket client. The platform where that higher ticket client would be, I would just be balls deep in that area. I would just submerge myself in that area. So places like LinkedIn, YouTube, where higher ticket clients actually are, they're not necessarily scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna live. I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna present like a higher ticket professional. Everything I do will target that audience. And then as soon as I got my shop window nailed down, that's when I start nurturing. That's when I start connecting with those higher ticket clients. Then I would offer something of value, so something for free. So people are like, what's the incentive of them getting on a call with you? You've got to give them an incentive. What's the incentive of them actually responding to your message? You've got to give them an incentive. Too many people try and take, whereas I would submerge myself in that world and just try and give as much as possible. And then people will naturally start to entertain what I've actually got to say. And I'll very
I like
quickly get those 5 clients.
So you always think it's better to go a higher ticket always?
No, no. So that's
Okay.
so it's like depends what the goal is. It depends if it's monetary, or it depends if I'm actually trying to grow a longer term business. So to answer your question, it was how do I get 10K a month as fast as possible?
Yeah.
If that's clearly the goal, then
Mm.
that's what I would do.
I might
Okay.
jump in here because I know you're going to just ask more questions. I've obviously I've kind of been thinking recently about what the offer is at BC, and this is kind of why I'm more interested in lead gen now, because I'm thinking, what am I actually, after our call last time, we talked about the result you actually get people actually generate them a result. So I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking, well, really, what I need to do is not just have that small frame of thinking where I just help them get more views on Instagram, because that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't get them a result. It just increases the number on a screen that equates to nothing. So I actually think that maybe I could switch the way that we present an offer to clients now, and actually turn it into helping people get leads through content, because that's what makes the money, kind of like what you're doing at the moment, but kind of as you say, I've got a large scale thinking, like telling them, like, go to LinkedIn, do this. Maybe that's something to think about, down the line. But what are your thoughts? And maybe
100%.
thinking, what the fuck is
100%.
the offer? What is the offer?
As a content agency like what you've got, I 100% agree with you. Why are people investing into content? It's not for the views, it's not for the likes, it's not for the comments, it's not for the engagement. It is for the return on their investment.
Yeah.
Every single time someone invests into something, that isn't necessarily like a one-off luxury. So, for example, like investing into like a nice meal at a restaurant. Okay, that's investing into something you're expecting not to get a return from. But every single thing, everything else on the planet is a monetary return. That's why people invest. So you've got all the bells and all the whistles sort of in between as to what you actually do. But the bottom line is, it's like, well, am I going to get like a return? It's like weight loss coaches as an example, because obviously that's my original background. Using that, people invested into me to lose weight. If they didn't lose weight, then they've not had a return on their investment.
Yeah.
It's black and white. It's the same with what you do. So obviously helping people with short form content, helping them edit, helping them strategize, helping them get more like eyeballs on and more leads through the door. It's more about the leads through the door and more about the sales through than it is about the views.
Yeah. And obviously when we started together, I was just good at editing. I was just an editing nerd. So now I'm thinking, now that actually there's a bit of stability in that conveyor belt you were talking about, it's starting to kind of become a reality, starting to become quite fluid.
Yeah.
Matthew actually asked me earlier today, he was like, what's our offer then if it's not 2x engagement? Because that really wasn't attractive to people. What does that mean? 2x engagement. Great. What even is that? So now he asked me, like, what do we offer then? And that's a good question. Like, what is the offer? Is it increased leads? If so, by how much? And how much money does that mean for them? And do we then become kind of what you're doing, starting to teach people how to, because I was like, oh, Matthew could add a little module in one of my courses, how to then do sales. But I'm thinking, is that then taken away from what I'm doing? Is that too big? Is that almost like a mentorship thing, which I don't want it to be?
No. I'd focus on leads. I'd go as far as leads captured, because the thing is that there's a big difference between leads captured and that becoming a paying client. There's a massive gap.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Yeah.
So I'd go as far as leads captured, because at least then it's a very black and white metric. That's the key thing. It's got to be black and white. It's got to be clear. So again, using weight loss as an example, just kind of going back to that, I could promise people that I would help you lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Because it's black and white, specific. There's no wishy-washy, there's no variance in between it. So when it comes to double your engagement, okay, what does that mean? I know you had like an engagement umbrella, but it's too hard to figure out. It needs to be so dumbed down that it's so black and white, it's clear.
Yeah, because with content as well, one thing I know from a lot of the research that I've done is you need to operate within a certain sort of categories. You have, I think it's relationships, health, and wealth. Those are the three main ones. I'm sure you're aware. It's quite a standard thing. And obviously what we're doing is, we work with businesses. We don't work with consumers trying to lose weight. We work with businesses trying to grow their businesses. So what do they want? They want to give us their money and then have something back. But if they just get views, but they just have views. Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah.
So we've
Yeah.
had a bit of a crisis moment. It was like, well, what is the business then? So I obviously need to learn lead capture a lot better now and start to understand how I can generate that with content and how I can sort of map that out for.
So let's
clients.
look at the actual offer. So you're helping people then capture more leads. So you can help people double the amount of leads that they actually capture, whilst only spending 1 hour per week of time. All of a sudden now that's a very high reward for a very low risk, because they're not spending that much time on their content. You're probably helping them spend a lot less time actually creating content. So as a content agency, if you're allowing them to double the amount of leads they're getting whilst only spending an hour of their time, that offer then all of a sudden is really fucking strong, like really, really strong. And that's what I would then focus on. And then you impress the hell out of the client just with the quality within that. That's what you do.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're obviously going now. I know I'm making this about BC, no, it's just less leads, but this kind of like something that I think Matthew's been struggling with is, what is he selling? I know this is sales, but what is he actually selling? You know, he'll get the leads through, but I think probably something, obviously, you know how to generate leads online, you've done it for years. You know, how to actually get the leads in, because obviously you need a specific thing to offer them. Like, how do you actually generate leads if you're being really vague with what it is you're offering? I think that's something Matthew struggled with. It's like the people he's getting in, they don't really know what they want, and he doesn't really know what they need. And so probably something that I haven't thought of is when you're actually getting leads, it's not just about people. It's probably something to do with the offer you've got, right? And actually having specific qualified leads, I guess, and kind of qualifying leads better. Something I never thought of. We just thought volume. But really, I don't think it is that. It's like people that actually want the result you're offering and knowing what that offer is.
Well, you got to look at what you define as capturing an actual lead as well. So capturing a lead is just the contact information. Now, in regards to you qualifying the lead, that comes afterwards. And that's where most people fuck up, because they're just trying to capture the best qualified leads. Whereas what they're missing out on so much opportunity, because they're not actually capturing the lead. They're just trying to capture the best leads. But how do you get the best leads?
So capture everyone and then qualify.
Then qualify. Yeah. Really, really.
So I mean, this is probably something obviously Matthew will do, but what are some of the ways you would qualify a lead? Is that a way you would do that on Instagram? Is there some system, or how would you do that?
Yeah, so that'd come afterwards. So as soon as you've actually captured the lead, depending what you've incentivized them, depends on what actual lead magnet you've actually used to capture that lead. Like initially, you would then start to ask them questions and help them more and more and more on that one particular thing. So for example, like if it's like a webinar, is an example. Oh, how did you get on watching that webinar? Have you managed to implement anything off the back of that? How valuable did you find that? Has that actually helped you? If it's not helped you, why? How can I help you? So all you're trying to do is just give. You're not trying to take like at all. That's only when you're on that sales opportunity call that you're actually trying to take. But that whole process of actually bringing leads through the door, qualifying them, like that whole process, you're just like fucking Santa Claus. You're just giving.
Yeah. So what about instead of, you know, obviously one thing that you've talked about a lot is sending people sort of a video, which we created. We recorded a video, and there's a lot of interest in that on a landing page. But how would you compare that then to maybe, instead of sending somebody that value, putting them directly into a community where there's a ton more value, as opposed to just one video? How is that a better way?
You got to test it. So there's no right or wrong way. So you got to test it, A, for the audience, and B, what actually attracted and captured the most leads for what you're actually trying to offer. So for example, like there's a lot of people who use ebooks still. There's a lot of people who use physical books, courses, webinars, a free call. There's so many different ways that you can actually implement a lead magnet. You've got to find the right one that works for you. If you're unsure, test them all. Just test them all and see what captures the most amount of leads and gets the most amount of interest. And there's nothing stopping you. So, for example, like people like Grant Cardone, as an example, amazing marketer. If you actually study his social media, every 2 or 3 weeks, he's putting a different lead magnet in his bio. So it could be an ebook, it could be a free virtual event, it could be a physical book, it could be a course. He's constantly switching it out. So he's capturing the right lead who actually wants that right type of information. Because there's some people that would want a webinar, there's some people that would prefer a course, some people would prefer an event. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's you're making sure that you're covering all bases, just like in the way that I said at the start of this, that the way that you're actually capturing leads as well, you're constantly mixing everything up to make sure that you're covering all bases. It's the same thing with the actual lead magnet as well. But then as soon as you find out what, let's say you've got one outstanding one, then you just go all in on that.
Okay. So obviously you've got the content strategy, which pushes people to that. And then when it comes to sort of like the link in the bio, that could be potentially direct into a community or a landing page, then from there into a community, or a free resource. So you change that every few weeks then to test. Is there like a certain amount of things you would try? So like a landing page with like a VSL, like something that me and Matthew were going to do is record a VSL for a community as opposed to provide value immediately. It's almost like promotional into a community and then nurture them from the community as an easy way to just like get them.
Yeah, initial opt-in pages need to be as simple as possible. It used to work really well where you had like massive long sort of initial landing pages to get people opt-in, but you want to make it as easy as possible, as idiot-proof as possible. Okay, here's what I'm giving you. Type in your information, I'll give it you. Like, make it as simple as possible. Okay, what it is, like why it will benefit you, etc. But you literally just need one very simple page in regards to capturing leads, and then qualifying leads comes afterwards. That's where you can really beef something out and really start to sell yourself.
Definitely going to be the focus point, I think.
But test it. Like test it as much as possible. Like even with your VSLs, even with your copy, I've done it before where I've literally changed a couple of words on a landing page and it started to convert better. You have to test. And like rule of thumb for me, like every 3 or 4 days, I'll just tweak something. I'll see if I can make it better. If it drops and it starts to make it worse, starts to make the conversion worse, then I'll just put it back. Like there's no harm in you testing. And this is what happens when people then go into paid advertisement. They're testing every 3 or 4 days. They're tweaking every 3 or 4 days. They're upping their budget every 3 or 4 days if they see it's working. It's just about putting in the action, like putting in the work, and then just analyzing things off the back.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
But most people don't do that because they'll take action, it won't work, and they'll be like, oh, it didn't work, and then they'll just stop fucking trying.
Yeah, that's actually put my mind at ease because I mean, you know me, I'm very much like new idea. I'm like, instead of testing, I'm almost like moving on. I'm like, what's next? And nothing's worked in the past, but I'm like, what's next?
Yeah.
So it's good to know that I can like try different things. But yeah, I'll definitely test some different things, maybe a new landing page and stuff like that. Because you know, the bit that I'm good at is creating the content. I can create content. But what happens then when there's eyes on the landing page, which I can get, what happens? How do I progress from there? What happens then? How do I get people to sign up and to a newsletter or something? That's the bit that needs some more education, needs some more tweaks, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, it's so common. People will like test something, it doesn't work, and then they'll move on. So it's not necessarily about moving on. It's about, right, how can I tweak this? How can I adjust this? How can I make it better? How can I improve this? How can I make it more valuable? How can I make the offer better? How do I make the copy better? The VSL better? What I'm actually giving away better? Do I need to redo the webinar? Do I need to redo the course? Do I need to redo the like? So it's looking at all of those options before you stop and change and pivot completely.
So you would tweak or redo sort of everything before starting again.
If you strongly believe in your offer, and like it depends on how strong that you believe in your offer and how, like, if you've already got clients who have taken you up on that offer, if they're absolutely crushing it and you've got such a strong belief that you can really solve someone's problem in the best possible way, tweak until you get it right. Any other questions? The poll I had, the poll that was actually in the Limitless Leads group, it was interesting actually because I put a question in there just asking, right, how are we collecting leads at the moment? What's your most like common way? 71% was direct messages, cold outreach only. 14% was websites, and there was next to nothing for landing pages, funnels, lead magnets, which is completely the wrong thing to be doing. Cold outreach is just you connecting with your audience. That's essentially like all it is. You just connecting with the people that are there that you've actually gone fishing for. Websites don't necessarily perform because websites just have about you page, service, this, that, the other. They don't necessarily perform. People are too distracted. So landing pages, lead magnets, funnels, easy ways for people to opt in is where you get the leads.
Nah, landing page is useless.
I reckon link trees. I think that's the way forward.
Link trees are dog shit. It's the same as website. They're the same. No, because people come, as you know, people come into a link tree. They're really interested in working with you, and then they've got 5 links. They don't know where to fucking go. I'm just interested. When people click the link in your bio, they don't have a solid idea of what information they want to collect. They're just browsing. It's like the old Argos catalog, if you remember the Argos catalog. Right, so perfect example. Why did you get the Argos catalog?
Toy section straight away.
You're just interested. You didn't know exactly what toy that you wanted for Christmas yet. You just got the Argos catalog because you were interested in flicking through the whole damn thing and circling or folding down the corner of the page of what you actually wanted to give to your mum. You were just interested, but you picked the Argos catalog up because you're interested. Now, the thing is why websites and link trees and things like that don't work is because you're not helping that interest. That interest is coming through. They're clicking the link in your bio, and then they don't know where to go next. You've got to help them. That's why having a solid landing page, having a funnel, actually helping people with one thing, making it idiot-proof, making it simple, is the best way to capture leads. The moment you confuse the hell out of people, it doesn't work.
No, I do think our landing page as well is a bit. It's had loads of clicks, but it's had no conversions, which is like weird because I feel like definitely should have had some more form submissions.
Yeah. That's it. It's like I've helped and done funnels where there's like a 91% opt-in rate. It's unheard of. Unheard of. 91% of people that click the link give their information. It's ridiculously high.
So how do you think I should sort of move forward then with my sort of lead generation? Obviously, cold outreach is there. I do that quite often. Do you think I should I send like lead magnets to people, or should I just sort of promote them on my stories?
They've got to want it. Like you can't just don't give the solution or put the solution onto people that don't have the problem. You got to find the problem first. So Jeremy Miner talks about this all the time. Be a problem finder. Like if you can be a problem finder, then you just attach the solution to it. If you walk around, just another analogy, right? If you're selling fucking donuts, it's a random example, right? If you're selling donuts, and even if people are hungry, they might not like donuts. How do you know if they even like them? They might have a gluten intolerance. They might just not like them. They might be on a diet. It might make them feel like shit, like after they've eaten the donut. They just don't want the donut, even though they're hungry. Even though they've got a problem, they don't have the problem for that solution. So you've got to find the problem that you're actually trying to solve.
Just by obviously asking and connecting.
Asking, help, be interested. Too many people just are so concerned about the take, so concerned about capturing leads, so concerned about new clients, making money, this, that, the other. All of that from experience comes as a byproduct by actually being interested in who you're talking to. I've spoken to every single one of my followers, every single one personally. I've just to find out who they are, what they're about, what they're looking to do. Whether they become a client of mine there and then, or they become a client of mine years down the line, doesn't matter. I've connected, I've showed an interest, I've showed care, I've tried to help. That's it. Try to find the problem. That's all I'm trying to do when it comes to cold outreach.
Because it's got like a mixed success rate. Sometimes it's like decent, but then sometimes it's like terrible.
But it's got a mixed success rate because of emotion. People get emotion when it comes to cold outreach because, oh, I've had 50% of people not respond to me today. It doesn't work. but 50% of people like did. It's the glass half full and the glass half empty scenario. It's just how you look at it. Like, for example, if I message 10 people, 9 ignore me, I'm focusing on the one person that responded. I don't care about the 9 that ignore me. It doesn't matter. But the one that responded, I'm having a great conversation with that person now. It's just how you look at it.
That's a good point, actually. Because I think a lot of people get like you said, bummed out by the non-responses and people
Then they
not
stop
answering.
doing it, and then they stop taking action. It's like what we said about testing. Just because one thing doesn't work doesn't mean you fucking give up. Doesn't mean you give up. It's like if you have a mortgage on a home and you've got a 40-year mortgage on a home, let's say, example, right? And you lose your job. Doesn't mean you never work again. Because you go and find another job to pay the mortgage. You find a way. But most people do it in that scenario, but they don't do that in the rest of their life. Or if they're trying to grow a business or they're trying to progress in any way, shape, or form. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't stop. Don't stop. The moment you stop, you fail. As long as you don't stop, you're good. You'll always be good.
It's like a motivational speech.
It's true.
I'm gonna put some good music underneath that. I'll go on Instagram tomorrow.
What's the best way to get leads going forward then, Josh? Obviously, I know that you've got like you did like the 5 story sticker tap. Like, have you got any more sort of
One way.
things like that?
There's hundreds of ways. So lead magnets first and foremost. Like community groups, actually leveraging other people's audiences as well.
How do you do that, by the way? Just
leveraging other people's audiences. So again, go in and give, build a relationship. So for example, like Facebook groups, right? So if there's a Facebook group that has a community of potential clients that would suit your solution, you would then go in, become a member. Don't go in there all guns blazing, because again, you'll just butt heads with people. But just go in, start liking, start commenting, start engaging, start being a great member of the group, just like you would be as like a normal member. Just be a member first and foremost for a week or two. Let's say there's 10,000. I actually did this with my coaching company. Let's say there's 10,000 women like in that group, and it was like a weight loss group. The perfect example. Exactly what I did. Go in there, like, comment, engage, etc. And then you can click on members, because it's a public group on Facebook, and you can see who the admins are, who the members of the group are, who's new to the group. Great thing about weight loss, if they're new to the group, that motherfucker wants to lose weight because they've just joined. So obviously they want to lose weight. Okay. The same thing for like content creation. If you had a phenomenal solution, some phenomenal community, and someone's just joined, they're interested in that one thing. Otherwise they wouldn't have just joined. Okay. But going back to the weight loss group, I would then connect with the 2 women who actually own the group. I offered to coach them for free, which I did. Coach them for free, got them really good results in 8 weeks, then convinced them to let me to do a weekly live, actually in the group, to the 10,000 women, just helping free of charge. After week 6, I then launched an 8-week paid challenge. I had 28 people sign up in one day because of the nurturing. People are just trying to rush it. People are just trying to rush that process. But look at all the value that I gave up front, all the nurturing, all the help, all the advice, the engagement, and then coaching the 2 admins of the group for free, got them results as well. And then 6 weeks of weekly live, like afterwards, we're talking like 4 or 5 months here of work. But then as soon as I drop the offer, I've given that much value up front, then they're more likely to come over. If you go into that scenario just trying to sell, it doesn't work. You've not built enough trust or nurtured enough.
There's a guy called Houston Cole. You may know who he is or not. He's a creator on Instagram, some of the best edits I think I've ever seen. And he actually, I'm in his community, and he talks a lot about, when you've got a small following, generating, because when he had like 1,000 or 2,000 followers on Instagram, he was making 6 figures. And he said that one of the best ways to leverage audiences and actually get sort of people to see who's an authority without a large following is actually Facebook groups. And he said that he went into a Facebook group, like you said, just kind of eased his way in,
Yeah.
started liking, responding to comments, and then eventually what he said was people started tagging him in things, saw him as an authority in his niche within that group, and started tagging him in the comments of posts, and then he started providing value that way, and that started to sort of build him as an authority much quicker than the time it takes to build that on
Yeah.
on a following. So I suppose as a strategy that, you know, I could implement, get into Facebook groups and start to interact, I guess, and then maybe follow a similar path here. I mean, this might have been a long time ago. I assume Facebook groups have evolved since then. Maybe, you know, maybe a school community or something, and start to actually, as you say, leverage other people's audiences. So it's something I don't think about very often. I always think I have to build my own. I could go into someone else's and steal theirs, I guess.
100%. Listen, that's
yeah.
just, but again, that's just one way to capture leads. It's just one way. There's so many ways to capture leads. So many. But the golden rule is give way more than you try and take. Way more. And if you're struggling to take, you've not given enough. So you need to give more and more and more and more until the take becomes easy.
And obviously, what needing money, I guess, puts all the pressure to make money, obviously, puts a huge pressure on, shit, I need your money, as opposed to let me just help, and then if nothing happens, so be it. Suppose when you're broke, it's like it's really hard to slowly nurture. You just want to like, here's this, get on a call tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. But if you're feeling that pressure, if you have low audience, so exactly what we did with the both of you for the content agency. Okay, so if there is pressure like financially, it's the same skill set to sell someone at £500 a month than it is to close someone for 1.5, triple the rate. So all we did is triple the upfront load, and now all of a sudden you've had the best month that you've ever had. Because it's the same skill set. So if you're someone that does have a lower following, then just you can pick and choose exactly who you're trying to target. You can pick and choose and manufacture around that. So if there is the finance, but this is going right back to the start of this, it depends what you're doing it for. So for example, when I got into fitness coaching, it wasn't for the money. I got into fitness coaching to genuinely help people. I had an amazing transformation myself. I'd watched my mum go to Slimming World 6 or 7 times on and off, and she could just never lose the weight. It was out of frustration that I actually wanted to become a fitness coach. People was asking me how to get in shape. It was all out of frustration. There wasn't a single financial number in my head at any time. So I'd focused on the help, and then the money came as a byproduct, and then that's what grew the business. So it depends, it depends what you're doing it for.
Matthew, for example, he hasn't got the skill set I do within the industry. So it's hard for him to connect with people and really appreciate their problem and then help with the solution. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So how then, it seems quite difficult then to
so the problem then,
if you're like from an acquisition side, a salesman, as opposed to me going in there and knowing what to do with them.
So the problem then is a lack of knowledge, is what you're saying.
Yes, I guess that's probably
so what's the solution to a lack of knowledge?
Knowledge, I guess.
Learning. So that means you need to spend more time with Matthew, teaching him what you do, telling him what you do, how you do it, feeding him that information, so then he has more knowledge to solve that problem that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I guess from a lead's perspective, it goes back to what I was saying just now, having a solid offer where it's sort of exactly what they're getting. That's also super helpful in the confidence you have when you're interacting with the new leads, like the confidence of what you're saying to them. Like that's kind of why I'm so interested in this, so that I can help from my side to try and build a service that is so clear in the process and what they get, that when you're targeting leads, probably more leads come through because it's so much clearer. And then when actually moving into the sales side of things, that comes towards the end when you're asking for a call, everyone knows what the solution is. It's just a matter of explaining and from a technical side, like handling maybe some objections, but that obviously increases Matthew's confidence then when he's talking to leads, you know?
100%. 100%. Yeah, completely agree. Yes,
That's been,
if
yeah,
that's
really
if
helpful.
that's an issue, or not necessarily an issue, but if that's something that you need to work on, just schedule that into your diaries what you're doing. You can have like a development call where Alex, you can actually walk through exactly what you're doing with a couple of clients. So just like half an hour per week, you're just feeding Matthew information. Like the whole purpose of that call is to just feed him information and leave the call. Feed,
Yeah.
leave the call.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Definitely.
Okay. Perfect.
This has been a really valuable call, Josh. Thank you.
Anytime. Anytime.